Edition 31. Published by Research Institute. Andishe Online-Germany. Biography. Master Elahi 1895 to 1974, known as Ostad Elahi. Before we get to the main topic of the biology of quantum dimension, we must first answer the question, who is Ostad Elahi? I take the following material directly from the aforementioned book. Master Nurali Elahi, who is known worldwide as Ostad Elahi, was born on the 11th of September 1895 in Dashihanabad in western Iran. He grew up in an environment filled with a completely pure spiritual atmosphere. His father, Haj Nemet, was an important representative of the highly respected spiritual group called Ahl-e. Master Elahi was a modern thinker, philosopher and mystic, a great musician and heir to a centuries-old spirituality. He was professionally a respected judge who developed parallel to his personal life a spiritual system, which he described as the quintessence of all divine religions. This system considers both the material and the quantum side of human beings. Each person must in daily activities keep the balance between four basic matters, beyond and earthly life, also between soul and body. Ostad Elahi. The developed spiritual system by Ostad Elahi allows the soul to finish its journey to perfection quickly, comprehensively, and with less risk. Ostad expressly states that a person who wishes to enter the path of perfection necessarily must interact with the material world to acquire the experience which is required to complete the process of perfection. Ostad rejects isolation and seclusion from the social environment because you can no longer use the process, experience, and apply to complete the perfection. This process promotes a number of priorities that the spiritually traveler needs unconditionally to learn and use. Achieving perfection is a long process which continues after physical death. A prerequisite for this is that the soul, for a certain time, returns several times to this world until it has achieved a certain soul rank. This type of return, that has been precisely defined, described and named as the perfection with ascending method by Ostad Elahi, is different from the usual reincarnation. An example of this difference is, according to reincarnation, the soul of a living being manifests immediately after physical death in a body of a human being or of an animal which is newly created or has no soul. For this rebirth there is no limit, and the soul can occupy each mineral, plant, animal, or human body without a soul. That is the situation in the teachings of the perfection with ascending method, which is completely impossible because everything that comes in appearance, as explained in the following pages, necessarily has a soul. In addition, there is no time limit for this repeat appearance by reincarnation. According to Ostad Elahi's teachings, the manifestation of the soul in another life in another body is always continuous, and there is always ascending taking place. For example, a plant soul does not appear in the form and shape of a mineral, but in a higher rank of a plant form, or under certain conditions in the basic shape of an animal. And of course not alone, but together with many other souls with more or less equal rank. For these transformations there's a certain amount of time. In this matter I must point out that the teachings of Ostad Elahi in this sector are much more extensive than what I've briefly mentioned here. The reason for this is that I want to describe and explain this topic very thoroughly. How and under which discipline and conditions must the soul complete the process of perfection is a detailed field of his teachings, which it is not possible to analyze in this series of articles. For this purpose another study would be required. Musical genius. Ostad was also an outstanding composer and musician. play the tambour. He was so small that his hands could not enclose the frets of a conventional instrument. His continuous exercises under the supervision of excellent musicians and also because of his incredible talent led to his complete mastery of Kurdish, Lorish, Persian, Turkish, Arabic and Indian music at the age of 6. The tambour was his favorite instrument, but he mastered other instruments such as the tar, sitar, violin, daf and shagor. Ostad never played in public, but for his pupils and his family. Many Western musicians, such as Maurice Béjart (1927–2007), a French ballet dancer and choreographer, and Yehudi Menuhin (1916–1999), an American violinist and conductor and one of the greatest violin virtuosos of the 20th century, visited him in Iran. They were excited and thrilled by the sound of his music. About his music, Jean During, professor for Orientalism and music, wrote a book entitled
La Meuse, son œuvre l'art unique d'Ostad Elahi.
There are other researchers who have studied his teachings and works. For example, Professor James Winston Morris from the University of Boston in Massachusetts, USA, who has translated and published one of Ostad Elahi's books under the title, Knowing the Spirit. Another example is Professor St. Waitman from University of London, who translated Ostad Elahi's book, Borhan-Oll-Haqq, into English. What was described above about Ostad Elahi and his teachings is just a very small part of this topic. A large section of his teachings includes explanations and descriptions which are related and connected to the creation and the fundamental laws of existence. Ostad Elahi's doctrine answers all the questions that humanity has been trying for thousands of years to solve. Questions like, who is a human being and where does he come from? What substances does he consist of? What's he doing in this material world? We will examine and analyze all of these topics one after the other. In order to write a comprehensive biography of Ostad Elahi, one needs in-depth research that takes into account all aspects of his character. Research and study. Farah Mars Tabish. Main source. The book Biology of Quantum Dimension by Farah Mars Tabish. Next topic. The Divine Discoveries. Achievements Ostad Elahi.